Welcome back, folks. I'm Jake Ellenbogen, and today I'm going to be talking about Kyle Williams from Washington State. So before we dive into that, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Also, be sure to follow me on all social media at JKBogen, including Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Kick. And just want to let you guys know that you could also check out my Kick channel. And like I mentioned before, and I've mentioned in previous episodes, I do film breakdowns on there. I do film hangouts. I also play some video games. So if you ever want to stop by and see another side of me, or pretty much the side that you get on here, because I'm pretty much the same person. But if you want to hang out, chill, be sure to check that out over on Kick. I'll be streaming a lot more after the NFL draft, especially gaming-wise. But after the NFL draft, I will also be doing hangouts to watch the film on the new Rams draft prospects or drafted players. So be sure to check that out. But today we got Kyle Williams. So buckle up. This is a fun one here, guys. He's 5'10", $185, senior coming out of Washington State. I have him projected as a mid-second round pick. I think this is somebody that you definitely need to keep an eye on. His separation skills are on full display, really polished. So we're going to get into the pros, the cons, and of course we'll have an NFL player comparison and if he fits the Rams. So let's start off with this. He's somebody that I feel, once again, shocker, was held back by his quarterback in college. And I think he's got, serious upside to be a high-end wide receiver 2 and a low-end wide receiver 1. So what are the pros? Well, first off, with Kyle Williams, he's an elite separator. Okay, great speed, ankle flexion, creates instant separation, sheds DBs with ease at all levels of the field. So that's something that really stood out to me. His route running mastery is also apparent. I mean, this is a technician, short and intermediate routes. He's going to shine. Crisp cuts, pacing, subtle head fakes, just the whole thing there. He has an excellent feel for the game. And so this is a guy that you really have to keep an eye on because he could beat you at any point. His yak ability is there. He's dynamic after the catch. He displays great ankle flexion, like I previously mentioned. Allows him to really turn upfield, keep the balance there. He can juke defenders. He can, power through arm tackles. He had 6.5 yards after catch average in 2024, according to PFF. He's got speed and burst. You have the great, straight line. You have the straight line speed that often comes with a lot of these receivers. He could stack DBs effortlessly. He opens up windows on verticals and crossers. So I think, right away you're getting a guy that is not only going to beat you over the middle, is going to beat you underneath, but he can beat you over the top. And so it really adds a dynamic to your receiver room where he's multifaceted. He can do different things. He can be that flanker. He can be that guy that you motion in and out on those crossers. He could be a bubble screen type of guy. He can really do it all. So I'm a big fan of Kyle Williams, if you can't tell. The natural hands are on full display, reliable catcher. He caught 58 of 62 catchable targets in 2024. He does a really nice job adjusting to underthrows, and he has excellent ball tracking skills and body control. This was necessary because, again, when I was watching his quarterback throw him the football, it was not pretty at Washington State. There were a lot of missed throws. I'm sure he missed playing with soon-to-be number 1 overall pick Cam Ward. But the reality is this. He did the most he could. His tape shows that. I think sometimes, we look at the bad. We tend to be negative. Quarterback does hold back the receiver. That happens more often than not in college. There just aren't that many great quarterback prospects. But the reality is that when you watch him play, it actually helps him on tape because I now know if my quarterback underthrows him. I now know if the ball isn't in the best position. I now know if, he overthrows him, what have you. This guy's going to go and get it, or he's going to at least try and the effort's there. He doesn't give up on anything. So I do like that about Kyle Williams. He's got the inside-outside versatility. He thrived in the slot, 60% of snaps, but on the boundary, he also thrived. And, he offered great flexibility, in my opinion, for this offense. Shifty, dependable, a guy that could take a target over the middle of the field and turn it into a 15-yard reception and take a hit. and hold on to the football. That's a big thing. The toughness is there. The short and intermediate dominance is, of course, there. Like I mentioned earlier, he excels on the underneath, the quick twitch stuff, really good pacing, chain mover, and just really a machine in tight coverage. This guy has strong hands, might not be the tallest or the biggest receiver in the draft, but he does play physically enough to be compared to those guys in a sense. He's got serious upside. Like I said, the quarterback woes at Washington State, it was not great. This guy could have had 1,200 yards with a Shedeur Sanders type of arm, maybe even more than that. It was not great there, so his quarterback hindrance was on display, but I think the upside's there. I think this guy can be a 1,000-yard receiver at the next level, and I think whoever gets him is going to get a really, really good player in Kyle Williams. What are the cons, though? He doesn't really have a ton, but they are necessary to bring up, and the first one is blocking limitations. I don't see a ton of effort, and he's not an impact blocker at 5'10", $185. I just don't see the strength there consistently. And that's disappointing. I love these type of players that seem to do all the little things. So I was a little surprised to see him not really blocking. That said, I do want to give him, some context here that will benefit him. While I saw limited effort and not really much of an impact as a blocker, I will also say he wasn't utilized as much as some of the other receivers. Maybe for that reason, but I also think they just did not ask him to. They wanted to run the offense basically through him, and that's understandable. But yeah, I didn't see enough of a sample size to say he can't block at the next level. But the things that I did see, I just didn't see a lot of. I just didn't see a lot of effort, and that was kind of a bummer. So that's one of the cons. Another thing, I guess size concerns. I hate these, but I had a hard time really finding legitimate cons with this player. He might not have the most upside in the draft or anything like that, but he's got a lot of really good things. He's going to be good at a lot of different things. Blocking is not one of them unless he can get a lot better at it, which is certainly possible. But, undersized from the standpoint that he can get rerouted pretty easily with more physical corners. Guys that are more lengthy, guys that have those 32, 33-inch arms that are just like alien types, which exist all over the NFL. You don't see them as much in college. Those guys can allow him to, put him in a position where they can really bottle him up as far as, jams and things like that. So that's something to keep in mind there. It is something that I'm looking at. And then, the deep route polish, I think that's not entirely there. I think he's best in the short and intermediate. The way I see it is I think he and, Jalen Knoll are very similar, but I would say Knoll is a better deep route runner, whereas I feel like you can look at Kyle Williams and see a better short and intermediate route runner. And, what would you rather have? I think you'd rather have the 2 out of the 3 levels instead of the 1 out of the 3, albeit the 1 out of the 3 is kind of the home run. But it doesn't mean that he can't run deep routes. It's just that's not, in my opinion, his forte. I think, yes, he can absolutely beat you over the top. He can stack the DB. He can win as long as you don't have alien type length, a cornerback jamming you off the line of scrimmage. But I think his best is when, he's in the intermediate part of the field. I think that's where he thrives the most. That's where he creates the most separation. But he does have the speed to beat you over the top. So I'm not trying to, say he doesn't. I'm just saying as far as a nuanced route runner at the third level, the last level, the deep level, I don't think he's as good as Jalen Knoll. And I do think he's really good in the short and intermediate. So those are my cons. What is the pro comparison here? I think it's very easy to see the pro comparison. When you watch this guy, he's Tyler Lockett, okay, coming out of Kansas State, elite separator. He's got the speed, the hands, the yak ability. Again, thriving as a wide receiver too, in all likelihood at the NFL level, but could be a wide receiver 1 in bursts like Tyler Lockett was. I think Lockett's route polish slightly edges out Williams based on where he was coming out of Kansas State. But I think this is a fair comparison based on play style. And I think And I always want to, preface this, because just because I say this guy compares to this guy doesn't mean I always believe he's going to be that guy. But I do believe he can be as good or maybe even better than Tyler Lockett. If things pan out, the tools he has in his arsenal, he could absolutely be that type of player. That's what I'm looking at here. And I understand some people would be like, well, I would draft that type of player in the first round. Yes, absolutely. But I do think there are other players that do other things more consistently, like blocking, for instance, or they're taller and they're more likely to win in those contested catch opportunities. But I will say this, and I'm not going to contradict myself here. When in doubt, always bet on separation. If you don't know if a receiver is going to translate to the next level, I'll tell you there's a lot more examples where a receiver that's separated more consistently instead of won the contested catch more consistently in college translated and succeeded at the NFL level. So I always say, when in doubt, focus on the separation skills. If they have those, the other things that you want can follow. But if this guy's getting open in the NFL and he can catch the football, well, that's a pretty good start right away. And Kyle Williams has that start. So, question being, how does he fit, or does he fit with the LA Rams? And I think 100% he fits with the LA Rams, because right now, as I've said in all of my wide receiver videos, the Rams can draft pretty much any type of receiver because they don't have a need right now. They don't have a need for a receiver right now. But again, this is the NFL draft. So if they do trade down and they get him in the second round here, this is somebody that is not just going to help them this year as a 4 or even a 3, but he is going to be a long-term fit for them, post Davante Adams, post Matthew Stafford. And that is the focus here. You can find a guy that can help you win a Super Bowl this year, but also find yourself a guy that can help you for a long time after. And this is a guy that I expect to be in the league for 10 years. That's just how I feel. I think Kyle Williams can survive for a long time in this league because he's just a natural separator, and I would imagine he's only going to get better with NFL coaching. So, Pro Bowl potential's there. Not that the Pro Bowl matters as much anymore, but it is there. And I think he would thrive in a Sean McVay offense. So where would I take him? Again, I have him as a mid-second round if the Rams trade down from 26 and say, they do one of those. They did it, 2019 with Taylor Rapp. They traded out of 31 and they moved all the way down, like near the bottom of the second round. If they do something like that where they trade quite a ways down, I think Kyle Williams will be there. I know some people have him as a third round, fourth round. I don't see that. I think this is a guy that 100% can start right away, but I don't think the Rams need him to. So would he be likely splitting time with Tutu Atwell? Sure, but I mean, he's got serious upside where Atwell's on a 1-year deal, and you're going to have to sign Puka, of course, and Davante Adams is on a 2-year deal. It does make sense to add another receiver, and I think Kyle Williams has the nuance that NFL coaching is just going to absolutely love. Get him with Eric Yarber, and this guy could be an absolute steal. So, and yes, steal despite drafting in the second round, 100%. That's how much I like him. So, those are my thoughts. Top 10 receiver in this draft, a guy the Rams would be very happy with, I think, if they ended up with him on draft night, but we'll see what ends up happening. Those are my thoughts. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about Kyle Williams, and that's going to do it. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, folks. Later. All right, guys, so once again, just want to let you guys know that you can check out my new side project, The Lounge. I interview athletes, musicians, actors, actresses, all the nine. So definitely check it out over on the Lounge with Jake Ellenbogen channel. Be sure to subscribe and enjoy. In case you guys haven't noticed, I do have a Discord channel for my community on this channel. And if you want to be a part of it, it is free. The link is in the description below. You can sign up. This is basically a 24/7 Rams channel, and we are almost at 1,100 members. So if you want to be a part of it, just hit the link in the description below.